Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name again is Jeffrey Davis, and we continue to talk to entrepreneurs about how they're dealing with the chaos of this economy and adapting. And my next guest, returning guest, previously on pre-COVID, so a totally different world, a totally different perspective, is Amy Mosher Berry, founder and CEO of Visions Internships. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me.
You look exactly the same, except you're not in the studio.
Yeah, I'll pay you later for that. I feel like I've aged tremendously, but thank you very much. It's, I guess the light setup or something.
Well, you're the woman of the universe.
Aha, that's right. I think big, hence the background. And my ampersand, I'll explain.
Well, why don't you explain? Tell us about Visions Internships.
Yeah, so in case anybody's, I'm sure they're just left hanging on the edge of their seat, Jeff, right? But anyways, the and sign so that people don't get distracted. So Visions Internships is a social enterprise, women-owned, and we basically are really out to help purpose-driven young professionals that they're seeking meaningful real-world experience, and we're connecting them with do-good organizations that need project support. So the and sign refers to really showing the world how we can both do well for ourselves, financially, professionally, and do good work in the world. The two are not mutually exclusive.
We hope not. So what drove you to do this? What's your background?
Great question. So my background, it's a little sorted. I've got over 20 years of combined community and workforce development experience, business development. I've also worked in for-profit, nonprofit, and government. And the last, I'd say between 2014 and 2019, I had 5 years as a professor working at two different schools in Worcester. So one larger public institution for 5 years, and then a smaller private college for 2 years, and all pre-COVID, as you mentioned. And I just kept hearing all of my students, a vast majority, especially those that would come and chat with me after class or before class, and they would just say, like, we have no idea what we're doing with our life. Like, we've never actually gotten that real world experience. And we're just gonna, try to power through, keep the GPA up, pass the exams, and we'll figure out the experience later. And I was like, oh my goodness. The only reason I really got into academia, because I'm much more of a practitioner, is to connect my young people with actual real world experience so that they had a clue before they graduated what they might want to do with a very expensive investment. And what's, I guess, shocked me, Jeff, is that, having launched this, so we're, Visions Internships is a product of COVID. So we are, still primarily a virtual project-based model, and it appears that we're staying that way. But the young people, that I'm seeing come through the program over the last 18 months have actually been more so between the ages of 24 and 27. So I had extended, therefore, my target reach for the young professionals to be between 19 and 29 years old, because I don't know if you know any young people that graduated college, whether it was 2019, 2020, even 2021, where they never actually had that opportunity with COVID to get that professional foot in the door. So there's like this whole batch of young people, with all due respect, that are like sort of flailing, like they never really got that experience or the guidance. And now that they're out of college and they don't have that added support through their career centers or their advisors or other members to help them, they're kind of flailing a little bit. So I feel like I can really make a difference with them. And it was a little bit surprising, because when I started my business, which, in 2019, I left my teaching to start my company. And I was really at that point only focusing on the juniors and seniors that were seeing graduation on the horizon, looking to help them get that experience before they graduated. But, life taught me as well where the market was. So here we are.
Well, I can speak both personally, but also in terms of my clients over the last 35 years, that the majority of them who I talk to made choices at the ages that you're coaching people that were the wrong choices, and they didn't have perspective. And so they spent their careers not being fulfilled, not doing the kind of job they wanted to do, not knowing how to change fields. And so I think having someone like you at this particular point of their career is really quite critical and essential. That learning how to reach out to people like you and getting help to think things through, and not necessarily put yourself on a path that could be 10, 20, 30, 40 years,
right,
can't be changed, is very important to do upfront, and not done enough. You're right. There's a gap after college of these people sort of floundering. I know with my father and my parents, the attitude was anybody who wants to pay you is a good job.
Mm-hmm.
That was a Depression era kind of concept. So I
Right.
took any job that offered me a paycheck. I never thought about culture or fit.
Yeah. Well, that's huge because, as you well know, a lot of organizations are struggling to find the right people, and young people are like, oh my gosh, they actually they're really wanting to hire me. It's like, yeah, but we need to help them see that what they bring does have value. Their skills need to continue to be built up, right? Because there are so many things that organizations need that they don't have time often. And really the reason we're in business on the organization side, because that's really our main client, is the organization that needs that project support. So their options right now would be potentially to, connect with somebody kind of, haphazardly. Maybe they know somebody, in that general age bracket that's looking for experience. Maybe they know somebody who works at a college, so that can be helpful. But what's really unique about us is it's almost like organizations are, in place of hiring, an expensive, say, consulting outfit that might charge them $50,000 to get XYZ projects done. We're kind of in between that, where, I'm not just connecting organizations to young people and saying, good luck, God bless. I am actually providing a pre-internship training of 2 intense sort of boot camp style weeks of work and life readiness, a lot of those interpersonal soft skills that the employers might expect that they come with already, but then they may get frustrated in the early stages of whether they're bringing on an intern or a new hire. So I help them really prepare for working and engaging effectively with the client organization. And then I actually support the young people for an additional 10-week project period to get 2 specific projects done for the client. And the client is literally just saying yes to between 1 and 3 hours equivalent of their staff time. And they're getting between 15 and 18 hours per week of project support done, because I am the ones who am finding, training, and managing the interns for the organization. And the client really just shows up to our weekly status update meeting and they're like, what's going on? What do you need from me? Let me give you some feedback. See you next week. So that's really how we roll. It's really soup to nuts for the client organization who's getting a pretty good deal. So I have no lacking of organizations that are pretty psyched to get affordable and reliable project support. Right now, we're really working on building up that talent pipeline for messaging and making those great connections.
Again, excuse me if I'm not smart enough to follow everything.
You're doing great.
So let me just identify 2 gaps potentially and see how you would do it. One gap would be understanding my own strengths versus the strengths or the recruiting needs of the organization.
Yeah.
And, culture and how I like to be worked with, how I like to be managed, because that's always been a particular thing with me, how I'm managed. And then the other side is my skill set, where I entered business with definite skills, but definite holes. Hardcore, we'll say the hard business skills versus the soft.
Sure.
So you help in both, and how do you get them to help, or do you help only on one side versus the other, the soft versus the hard? Let's call it.
We do both, and we do have like 3 main buckets that we focus on, right? So, I know business operations is very large, but if there are some strategic goals they're looking to accomplish, if it's outreach to key stakeholders, we might be designing, and administering surveys, interviews, focus groups. Really all virtual is really how we roll these days, as people know. We might be helping with like an operational manual, we might be helping to connect and get a promo video done or social media content out. So it's sort of a wide variety, but it kind of falls under business operations, communications and marketing, and also planning and event support. And for some of our nonprofit clients, we may help with some of the grant writing process and the fundraising, really for for-profits or nonprofits. So we can provide a lot of that back-end support with my coaching, and also connecting the young people to key people in my network that are helping train them. We do have some video modules. And again, I'm supporting them, every week consistently, actually multiple times a week, that the client organization doesn't see, but they know that their young people are coming prepared. They're preparing and actually running they're facilitating client meetings, which is kind of a big deal for somebody in their 20s to be running client meetings relatively effectively. And I'm in the background, if they're really out in left field, I may pull them back in. But, we provide a lot of the technical training. I mean, we use a lot of tech tools that I'm sure people are familiar with to run projects. So we're basically training these young people to be project consulting interns. So they're learning key project management, time and task, and moving projects over the line for the client. And then the client gets to see them in action. And I don't promise that they're going to be, hired at the end of this experience, but we've had 20 young people come through the program so far. We've had 10 happy clients from what I can hear from everybody. And, what's nice is that we've had, 2 actual full-time job offers and an additional consulting offer, just because nobody felt pressured and the client got to see the young person in action. And we all know, Jeff, right? We live in a try it before you buy it world, especially in Massachusetts. It's a super employee friendly state, which is great for most people, but it can be tricky for employers if they hire the wrong person and they don't get to see them first. So we provide that sort of try it before you buy it, that runway where the young people are learning and messing up and they've got my back, and they don't mess up too bad, because end of the day, we've got to deliver that client that's been scoped, the value needs to be clear and the projects need to fulfill on what we've scoped out. So I feel like I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I've got a lot to say about my company. Let me zip it and let you have the word. So back to you, Jeff.
I thought you made it real easy for me. I actually took a nap, came back. No. No, just fooling. I've listened to every word you said. There's a lot going on in your
There's a lot going on.
world. And we've been speaking with Amy Mosher Berry, founder and CEO of Visions Internships, clearly very involved and motivated about what she does. Amy, if someone's looking for you and your assistance, which I've already established, I think is very important. In hindsight, people think about that they should have done these things. I've had so many people say to me in my career, how come I didn't meet you 30 years ago?
Yes.
This would have helped me and I wouldn't have done what I did. So
well, look where you ended up, Jeff. I mean, you're in the spotlight, the limelight, you're doing big things. I appreciate you having the conversation.
I'm like that character on Sesame Street that comes out of the garbage can. So don't compliment me.
Oh my gosh, we just went to the Elmo show and
how can we connect with you?
Yes, absolutely. So Visions with an S, so visionsinternships.com is the best place to find more information about our organization. We are a for-profit social enterprise, women-owned, so you can learn more about our company there, and you can learn specifically about our core offering that we run 3 times a year. It's called VIP, where everybody feels like a very important person, but it stands for Visions Internships Program. We run that program spring, summer, fall, and they can learn whether you're a young professional looking for experience. You can check us out there, and also organizations that may need some project support or other information. Even if you don't contract with us, I'm always happy to have a conversation, especially if you're an organization looking to position yourself and start or grow an internship program in today's
Thank you very much for that glib sign off. What a pleasure, Amy, having you back again. We're not going to wait another 3 years and another pandemic. We're going to have you before then.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right.
And remind everybody, this is Radio Entrepreneurs.